Now, first up for you this hour, Ukraine's self-declared government has announced its findings concerning February's sniper attacks in Kiev. The interim interior minister has said that riot police were responsible and that they were serving in a unit that was disbanded following the violent uprising. But those conclusions are highly controversial. RT's Yegor Piskunov was in Kiev when those events were unfolding, and he joins me now. Good to see you, Yegor. So we're finding out a little bit more at this point. What exactly has the investigation uncovered so far?
Well, first of all, these are preliminary results which have been announced. The investigation is being headed by the new interior minister of Ukraine, of the self-proclaimed government of the country. And frankly, judging by what we've heard today, really creates more questions than answers, really. Because what we do know, what the minister has confirmed, is that 12 people have been arrested, former members of the also now former Berkut SWAT team, which was right there in the action during the violence and the clashes between the protesters and the authorities. Berkut was, I guess, sort of the strongest force from the authorities. These 12 people who've been arrested, they are being accused of firing at the protesters. We do know from themselves as well that they were part of the so-called dark company or black company, the only Berkut troops who were officially armed, and they themselves say that their goal was to open this corridor for the rest of Berkut teams to move out as the rioters were advancing towards them. So we know about these 12 people, but when I say more questions, I mean that first of all, Mr. Avarov, the interior minister, he's talking only about 12 people who were killed during that day. During February the 20th. And just to remind you what happened, this was when the most violence happened. This was the turning point of the whole protest movement, basically the revolution itself. This was the breaking point when the peaceful, or more or less, or at least it seemed that there wasn't that much of firing going on before that. But this was clear, the situation when perhaps both sides started firing at each other, perhaps not. This is basically what this investigation is trying to figure out. They're trying to find out what happened, who was firing at these protesters, why did these people die. But we also know that, according to some sources, it was well over 12 people who lost their lives. Mr. Avarov did not mention that. He also didn't mention the deaths among the Berkut SWAT teams themselves. Many of those people were injured, and that was not included in this report, which was announced by the interior minister. This has raised concern that either the investigation is still far from being complete. We even know that they came to using lie detector tests. These Berkut troops, of course, well, they are saying that they did not fire at people. They were firing, as they say, just at the floor, sort of, at the soil, to prevent them from advancing. Authorities, the new authorities, claim otherwise. But judging by what we've heard, either the investigation is still far from being complete, or it's not very objective. And this point of view was also voiced by one of the candidates who is going to run during the upcoming presidential election in Ukraine, who also said that it would be much more appropriate for the new authorities to hold a more thorough investigation. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Can these people be trusted if there's a possibility that they were involved in the massacre and ordered the snipers to fire at both sides? No, they can't be trusted. This investigation group should include representatives from Russia and other countries, and it should be monitored by the international community.
The European Union and European officials were also very keen on an international investigation to be held into this. We know this from leaked phone conversations between the Estonian foreign minister and the European foreign affairs secretary. That's not happening at this point. This is strictly an internal situation for the new Ukrainian authorities. And I was there on the spot on that day, stuck in this hotel, which ended up in the whole center of this whole conflict, really, armed conflict. And even as a person who was there, like, myself, I couldn't really, and still don't really know, even from which sides exactly which points all the bullets were flying in, because it seemed that the hotel was being targeted really from all over and all the sides. So our colleague Alexei Rashevsky was there with us as well, and he confirms that there are so many different theories now and different sort of points of view of who was behind these attacks, who was doing the shooting, and it's really not clear at this point. And Alexei Rashevsky tried to investigate this issue. Here's this report.
This DailyBeast.com article boasts of exclusive footage, it says, reveals exactly who is behind the shooting in Kiev on February 20th. The writer claims to have sifted through 90 gigabytes of photo and video material to establish the identity of the killers. It's a tempting headline and a tale, no doubt, but looking at the 4 pictures provided, the only thing they show is people with guns. Hardly a surprise on that day. It's also claimed the troops in the photos are from the Alpha Counter-Terrorism Regiment, a unit only authorized to shoot at people holding hostages or threatening the lives of VIPs.
Nothing of what they did was on their own initiative. It was all perfectly legal. None of the security forces units shot at people. There was a point when they opened fire, but they aimed low so their bullets hit the ground in front of people, 3 meters away from them. This was done in order to stop people, to keep them from advancing further.
But the article has hit home. One of Alpha's heads is now branded a murderer simply for being spotted at the scene.
My unit is now being called a death squad, but I'm telling you officially, we killed no one.
All special units have strongly denied that counter-terrorism fighters were involved in any killing.
We had information that snipers were shooting at police from the Hotel Ukraina. We sent a sniper team to investigate, but they couldn't see anything from their position, so they changed position for a better view. But by then, they weren't armed.
Did you use firearms against the people?
No, we were only on an observing mission. We communicated with the troops on the ground and guided them to keep them safe.
Are you ready to hand over your guns to experts?
Absolutely.
So if it's true that police snipers did not do the killing...
Mostly gunshot wounds. Many of them died. Snipers were operating a shoot-to-kill policy.
Who were the people pulling the trigger? The man who was running Ukraine's security service, the SBU, on that day recently made striking allegations.
Shots came from the direction of the Philharmonic Hall. There were snipers as well as others who were armed with automatic rifles. Basically, they provided fire support for the protesters to attack police. And that's when they started shooting people who were attacking officers. Once this first wave of killings was over, many people saw about 20 men leaving this building. They were well equipped. They had special uniforms. They had special cases and bags for their weapons, including sniper rifles. There were some reports suggesting that they were from former Yugoslavia. We were asked to look into that. And there were also reports suggesting that they were actually mercenaries from other countries.
Yakimenko is speaking about the very same building from which my crew was most likely fired upon. At about 11 a.m. on February 20th, when gunfire was raging in central Kiev, I was about to go live from our broadcast position on 6th floor of Hotel Ukraina, when 2 minutes before the live shot, somebody hit our window. A sniper bullet literally hit our window. It's still unclear to me who actually fired this shot, but let's try to put it into graphics. This is Hotel Ukraina. Our room is over here on the 6th floor, and this is the aforementioned conservatory building. The bullet's trajectory and the angle at which it hit our room clearly suggests that the bullet was fired from the rooftop over there, the building on the corner of Maidan, and according to the SBU chief, it was controlled by the Maidan Self-Defense Force at that time. But the fact that Maidan Self-Defense Force had recently cleared the building, as claimed in a tweet by one of their activists, does little to establish the truth. And given what we've heard from the former SBU chief, as well as a leaked conversation between Estonia's foreign minister and the EU's Catherine Ashton,
there is now stronger and stronger understanding that behind snipers, it was not Yanukovych, but it was somebody from the new coalition.
The identity of the Maidan snipers remain a mystery. despite the Ukrainian Interior Ministry's highly anticipated investigation. Alexei Rashevsky, RT.